Before we start this video, I must remind you that I am not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. If you lose self-control, everything will fail.
So now what we can do is we can move tokenized deposits around cities, corridors. Right now, it's just US and Singapore with aspirations of adding another 3 to 5 in the next near term. Well, it's great that we have this internal token, but our clients don't want a Citi token or another bank token. What they want is cross-bank, cross-border liquidity. It's great that we have this internal token, but our clients don't want a Citi token or another bank token. What they want is cross-bank, cross-border liquidity token. But our clients don't want a Citi token or another bank token. What they want is cross-bank, cross-border liquidity.
Our clients don't want a Citibank token or another bank token. She just laid it all out for you. This is Ryan Rugger. She's the one that created the Citibank token, this private version of Ethereum's EVM chain that's centralized. But she said in the beginning that the United States and Singapore have given us clarity to do this. So a lot of people are saying the U.S. is falling behind. Policymakers are saying the U.S. is falling behind. When I talk to the Digital Chamber of Commerce, they're telling me we're falling behind. Yet Ryan Rugger, one of the incumbents, what did she just say? She said the U.S. and Singapore gave them permission for Maersk to move shipments across the Pacific, across the Atlantic, and when the cargo ship lands in the port, it self-executes a smart contract that pays a token on Citibank's ledger.
Clients don't want a Citi token or another bank token. What they want is cross-bank, cross-border liquidity.
That's literally the purpose of the XRP Ledger, is liquidity between different asset classes. The AMM, Project Spectrum, this is all going to enhance the liquidity on the XRP Ledger. The new amendments that are coming, when they pass and you allow smaller financial institutions, medium-sized financial institutions to both stake and push liquidity through the ledger, it becomes more and more liquid. Now, here's the thing, is Chainlink partnered with Swift. That's huge, right? So I ended up buying Chainlink towards the bottom, more towards around like $5. So full disclosure, I own Link. But what Chainlink is doing is that it's making sure that bridging between two different networks happens in an authenticated, secure manner, so that the data is absolutely 100% correct. Now, according to Citibank, Ryan Rugger, her clients don't want bridging. They want liquidity. That's the whole purpose of the XRP Ledger, is liquidity.
Every side of a transaction to agree on the truth. So today we know that there's a significant amount of reconciliation that exists pretty much in every asset class, including money or cash. So RLN is really trying to get all financial players, both within a bank and then with their counterparts, to agree on the source of truth. And that really just enabled to settle cash transactions significantly faster and more efficient.
The reconciliation cost between two centralized networks is a substantial cost because nobody knows who owes who at the end of the day, because millions of transactions have happened. What we're moving towards is real-world assets that are put on-chain. Public blockchains don't require reconciliation. The reconciliation is already happening on-chain. That's what the trustless network is about. The data is being recorded in real time.
So it's key that now that we have the infrastructure of the platform built internally, we work with like Regulated Liability Network and other participants about how do we solve these difficult issues as an industry. And there's still a lot of questions out there, but this FMI that RLN aspires to be is extremely positive because it brings the parties together in a very flat way where we all have equal say in it. We're working with the...
This is a crawl, walk, run type of situation. The banks are going to be as cautious as possible, follow the rules to a T. If they slip, they get fined millions of dollars. So that's why they're using an Oracle system like Chainlink. The data between two different banks is exchanged. Chainlink authenticates data, makes sure that the data is correct. Everybody agrees that the data is correct, and then two different ledgers are able to have the same information. So it's information that's going to the ledger. It's not exactly settlement. It's not settlement that's happening. You're not converting assets. You're not doing anything with assets. You just know verifiably that this information is correct. But eventually, when the laws accommodate public open ledgers for real world assets, this entire movement of real world assets is going to overtake the entire banking system. The entire banking system is going to look much different than it does today. It's going to evolve significantly over the next few years. What's funny is the technology is here, and at the same time, treasuries, which underpin the debt market, are selling off. You're seeing TLT sell off. Bonds are selling off. Collateral is being sold off. The entire system is changing as we speak, and the technology is here to accommodate it. We're witnessing a reset.
Definitely look at many other possibilities and use cases, such as one promise that the CBDC holds for the entire world, not only India, is to transform the cross-border payments ecosystem. Even today, despite all those technological developments and the cross-border payment still is faced with multiple challenges, like the low speed, lack of adequate transparency in the payment process, and high costs. Some of the estimates say that the cost of the transactions can go up to 6% of the transaction value, and it's really very punishing to the customers at the end. So one feature that can CBDC holds the potential because of its digital nature is to transform this space by removing many of the frictions in the process and bring efficiency to this entire ecosystem, both in terms of cost and time.
This document came from the Czech National Bank. And in this document, it talks about Ripple being a household name in India. A gentleman before was at a Financial Innovation and Inclusion Global FinTech Festival, and he was talking about central bank digital currencies. He was talking about the benefits of cross-border payments and remittances. Here's the thing, if a country is using a CBDC, that doesn't necessarily change the cross-border piece. The cross-border piece happens with a liquid settlement asset. Linking ledgers together is not the same thing as converting currencies.
So my appeal to all the fintechs and brilliant minds and the technologists, technocrats to solve this, how do we come up with a proper design structure, is to leverage on the potential of this side and bring down costs, which would be very, very beneficial for the entire. And to give a statistics, India is one of the largest recipient of the inward remittances. In 2021, according to the World Bank estimates, around 87 billion was the inward remittance that we received. And this is something we should be aspiring for, how to make this frictionless and how to make it more efficient in terms of cost. There are other features that we would be exploring as we go along with regard to the programmability, what is known as, you can have a purpose-bound money.
Ripple is popular all over the globe because they're moving money fast and cheap, and that's what the globe wants. The entire world works by trade. Trade is how this world works, and it's not because banks are able to talk to each other and able to reconcile. That's not where the cost comes down. The cost comes down when you have settlement.
Use that, they exchange that for goods and for grains to cook and to eat. They sell and they use their manure for renewable energy to heat the gas. And it kind of may realize trade makes the world go round. And as the ED said earlier, even if trade routes change, governments can put on certain initiatives, trade will still find its way around, and the finance will often follow. And I think throughout this conversation, I think I'll jump to the conclusion. I think there's plenty of cash. It's actually access to collateral, which is the problem.
There's plenty of cash that's sidelined. The issue is collateral. There's not enough treasuries in the system. So When the Fed stopped printing money, when Jerome Powell stopped printing money, this entire system has come to a point where it's halting. And that's not good. Having global trade come to a halt is a terrible thing. And that's why you're seeing thousands and thousands of people, migrants, crossing borders. It's because their quality of life got so bad somewhere else that they have to just find a different way. And that's why they're going to the euro area, and that's why they're coming to America, is because the euro dollar system is the standard. And we still have some liquidity between euros and dollars. The rest of the system is frozen. The rest of the system is having problems. The rest of the people are suffering. And that's where blockchain technology can come in and help.
I'm going to talk about the three themes. So digital transformation, digitizing trade finance processes and documents really does have huge benefits, but it's being held back by quite outdated, cumbersome legislation. We did a white paper with the WTO and the ICC a couple of years ago with 56 projects using blockchain to kind of digitalize trade finance, and I think around half of them have failed since then.
World trade is the economy. Right now, there's all these inefficiencies in trade. Bills of lading require wet signatures. Politicians, regulators, they need to upgrade the law, and they haven't. And this has caused quite a problem in the supply chains. There's less access to collateral, and trade is freezing up. Now, politicians need to pass laws in order to upgrade it so you can use blockchain technologies, and the supply chain will get that much more efficient. When blockchains are applied, you'll have movement of trade happening quicker, faster, and cheaper. And to that point, Ripple is lending money to corporate treasuries, to SMEs. They're allowing trade to happen quicker and faster. As a matter of fact, GCC, a UK exchange, was sued for $13 million that they owed Ripple for invoices in XRP. They were borrowing XRP to make payments happen, and they failed to pay their bills because they were too overextended.
If a diamond came, cut, polished, finished out of Russia, it doesn't have any kind of like microchip inside it. There's no tag, right?
It's hard. And that's why this ban is going to be especially difficult to enforce. But the idea behind it is really implementing blockchain technology and ledger systems throughout the supply chain to be able to figure out what's coming from Russia versus elsewhere. And honestly, I think it's actually kind of great because all of a sudden traceability becomes enforced in the diamond industry, which is great. So we can make sure we don't get any conflict diamonds, blood diamonds, and the like.
Talk to us about.
So it turns out that the G7 is now sanctioning Russian diamonds, and Russian commodities are sneaking their way into the supply chain. So now the G7 is going to upgrade these external laws because there's a catalyst. They want to sanction Russia even further. I'm seeing more and more war rhetoric. I'm seeing it both coming out of the left and the right. So I understand that the left and the right are two wings of the same bird, and they're both looking for the same thing. They're both trying to escalate. Now, I get heat from this every time I bring this up, but it seems apparent to me that that's the agenda. If there's less people and there's a fixed amount of resources, that's the goal. I want less people because there's a fixed amount of resources.
5% off its highs. So fingers crossed, I think we're doing well.
Well, I and the audience agree with that. It's always a problem in public policy, and you know this, you've been at the forefront of it. To make something good happen when something bad has occurred, 2008 being a prime example, takes time. And our political system is not set up to give people time.
The entire G7 is voting on upgrading their infrastructure to accommodate blockchain so they can know where the commodities came from that came to produce the diamonds, right? And they're going to do this for every commodity. The supply chains are going to get upgraded. And what brought about this? A crisis. Just like Clinton said, every time there's a crisis, we use these crises to advance what we're doing.
And that, but it has the front-facing people, the obvious establishment, right? The Clintons and the Bushes and those people, but it has the not so obvious establishment. And the mistake many quote unquote conservatives make, many quote unquote people claim they're for working people, the quote unquote liberals, they always will attack the shoulders of their establishment, right? So Bernie Sanders used to at least attack Biden. Now he doesn't even do that anymore. And then the Rand Pauls, those kind of guys would attack the McConnells. So the wings always attack the shoulders. And to the average person looking at this, they're like, wow, Rand Paul just really, really gave it to McConnell. But they forget Rand Paul was absolutely silent on many other issues,
If you're not making mistakes, then you're not doing anything. I'm positive that a doer makes mistakes. Thanks, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. If you enjoy content like this, please consider joining my Patreon or my Ghost site.